Ooh, we fixing all of that. Oh my gosh, live TV, like they would say, right? I didn't even see my head until I got on live TV. Mm-mm-mm. Only on live TV, right? Sorry about that, people. It's been a very busy day. Let me fix this up some. Get a little zhuzh. Look at that. Got a little zhuzh to the side. Oh, goodness. Mm-mm. I am on live TV because I was not feeling StreamYard tonight. So we're doing it live on here. Where are the comments? Top chat, live chats are visible. Share. Can I share? Oh my gosh, let me see. Let me see. Nope, it says open in Facebook, so I don't think I should share, right? I was getting ready to share. I was fixing my hair, fam. Do not look at the first part, the first few minutes, a few seconds of this video. Hey, Tony. Hey, Empress. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing? It has been this Queen of Hearts energy. I know it's me and it's not the world, but man, it has been rough with this nine of spades. And nine of spades week kicked off my nine of spades as my cosmic lesson this year. I didn't know anything about it until the nine of spades week, right? Hey, how y'all doing on this Queen of Hearts day, right? We're gonna get into it. I wanted to let me see. Here we go. You know, last week we talked about the hearts, and I just want to briefly, talk about um, the Queen of Hearts, because today's the Queen of Hearts, right? So we got to give honor. We have to give honor to the Queen of Hearts, right? And all of it's just, I'm telling you, Queen of Hearts today has been a very interesting day for me, right? Definitely emotional, but detached as heck. Having, having hearts and emotions and being detached has got to be rough, right? And hearts are my challenging karma cards, right? So last week I broke down the heart. So, that hearts is about the nurturing, right? So I just wanted to talk a little bit, recap on that, on when the hearts show up, and how in your spread, depending on the house that they're sitting in, the Queen of Hearts is your father's card. Oh, cool. And depending on where it sits is going to show, how the energy is going to show up. So we're looking at emotional experiences, right? The presence of hearts can suggest a life journey rich in emotional experiences. It can indicate that the person is deeply in touch with their feelings and those of others. Now, these are all in great scenarios. In life, everyday life, it may not, no, it's not going to be like that, right? I lost some. Oh, there it goes. Relationships and focus. Heart cards often highlight the importance of relationships in a person's life. This could be romantic relationships, deep friendships, or close family bonds. The person may naturally excel in nurturing these relationships, right? Compassion and empathy. Those with heart cards prominent in their life spread might possess a heightened sense of empathy and compassion, often being the ones others turn to understanding and support. Was y'all feeling like that today with this heart, right? Artistic and creative leanings, right? Learnings. Sometimes hearts can indicate a natural inclination towards creative or artistic expression. This could be through art, music, writing, or any other form of self-expression that is emotionally driven. Challenges in balance and emotions. While hearts can indicate emotional richness, they also suggest challenges in managing the balancing of our emotions. Learning to handle emotional ups and downs might be the key to the theme in a person's life. Desire and harmony. Individuals with strong presence of hearts in their life spread might seek harmony and peace in their surroundings. They may strive to create a loving and peaceful environment at home and at work. Today being the Queen of Hearts Day, that's Neptune. So that is a very emotional placement. But the challenging karma card being that 9 of clubs, it's about elevating your thoughts. It's about making sure that you are present for sure with that 9, the cycling and the stuff that's going on. But being present is a key thing with today with that emotional energy and doing self-care and checking in with yourself. That 9 of clubs is a very powerful card. And that Queen of Hearts being Neptune, it gives it a lot of mystique, right? So today, detached was Neptune is very detached. So this could have been a very emotionally detached day. And that's not an easy energy. And with all this happening and us getting prepared to go into these new cycles, yeah, we got to take care of our heart. You can have any a malady with your heart, not knowing that it's because you're not taking care of that life force, right? Trying to get the right foods, the right rest. Any rest you get before 12 o'clock is counted as REM, right? After 12 o'clock, rest it is what it is. But that time before 12 o'clock is when your body gets that good rest. So the earlier you can go to bed, the better it is for your body. After 12 o'clock, it's not as restful. And if you're one of those people, you might know that about yourself, that after 12 o'clock, it's not so restful. So looking at us in heart season, being more prepared, taking care of ourselves, self-care is important. We're coming up on the silly season, which is Christmas. There adds a whole lot of whatchamacallit to it. Whatchamacallit, right? Hello, a lot of whatchamacallit to this season. So we are going to get into the book, right? And to what we're here for. Everybody got their book. If not, you can get the book on my website. It is, oh my gosh, let's see if it do it this time, Cassie. It's backwards. Tools for everyday life. It wasn't backwards on something that I was on, but this is my book, Tools for Everyday Life, and this is what I'm teaching from. This is dope. It's telling us that we got to learn how to use these tools. We're changing the game up and learning how to we're learning how to navigate, because we are in a time where things are moving fast and they are not waiting for us. I mean, on social media, it's bam, bam, thank you, ma'am. It's going fast, right? Social media is slamming us because we need to be distracted. I'm just saying, we need to be distracted. We cannot be doing what we're doing without social media and all of the things that are happening. So we have the celebrities where we get a chance to see how it's playing out, and then we get a chance to see the energies. We got a powerful jack of clubs right now, and we're going to be talking about clubs this week, right? Because we finished, talking about the hearts last week. So we're going to be talking about clubs. And clubs are pretty much everything, right? Clubs proliferate everything. Clubs rule the air, right? Clubs are communication, and that's what we do, verbal or nonverbal. So clubs in our spread tell us a lot about ourselves, how we communicate and how people communicate with us, right? Because if we got a 5 and we're thinking that people aren't communicating very well, well, it's the 5 that could be throwing people off. So it's not necessarily where we can always look. We never should look at the other person anyway. We should always be looking at how we communicate, right? So when we look at the clubs, we know that their communication, and this is all forms of communication. So when clubs appear in the spread, and I'm on page 8, when clubs appear in a spread, it can indicate a focus on communication and the need for clear and effective communication in situations. So, depending on what planet it's in, now think about it. You got a club, you got a 8, and you got Saturn. That's clear communication, right? A club, a 8, and Saturn. That's clear communication. A club, a 5 and Pluto, that's not clear communication, right? So depending on where your cards are, is gonna tell you what you should be working on. We look at where they're sitting at and we break down those placements, right? Learning and education. Clubs can also represent learning, education, and intellectual pursuits. When clubs appear in a spread, it can indicate a time of learning or a focus on intellectual growth and development, right? So if you got a king of clubs, a jack of clubs, a queen of clubs, that's time to go to school. Even the ten of clubs, that's school time. Especially a king of clubs and a jack of clubs, you're going to sail through it like nobody's business. A queen of clubs, she might want somebody to do the work for her. But the king of clubs and the jack of clubs, they're going to sail through it because that's what they do, right? That's that Uranian energy. So they're going to be pretty, when you holding those cards, that's a time to really think about higher education. Ideas and creativity. Clubs are also associated with ideas, creativity, and innovation. When clubs appear in the spread, it can indicate a time of creative thinking, new ideas, or a focus on finding innovative solutions to problems. Now, clubs are the teenagers, so that part about finding innovative solutions, they could be, not appearing to be trying to find solutions as teenagers, but they are. They need guidance though, but they are. Teenagers are trying to find solutions, they just need guidance, right? So, clubs, for the most part, they need guidance. They need diamonds and they need spades. They do. Clubs can't be by themselves or they're going to run amok. Right. Clubs and hearts together are muckety, 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 right? Mental health. Clubs can represent mental health and well being. When clubs appear in the spread, it can indicate a focus on mental health, including the need for self care and addressing mental health concerns, right? Because sometimes the clubs can really be stuck in their head. So you want to find something to other, like today with the 9 of clubs, you want to elevate your thoughts as high as you possibly can. You want to make sure that you're not focusing on the low vibration of anything when you're a club, because that'll take you down a rabbit hole, and that's where your mental health can come in. So with clubs, we want to be focusing on discovering what that card is trying to tell us in the placement that it's in, right? Because air and earth may not, what I mean, air and fire, all of those things go, all of those attributes are going to tell you how that's playing out, right? Intellect and analysis. Clubs are often associated with intellect, analysis, and problem solving. When clubs appear in a spread, it can indicate a focus on logic, reasoning, and analytical thinking, right? This is what I say about especially those court cards and trying to go back to school. You should, if you're preparing any higher education or something like that, you want to see where those placements are, right? And you want to see what kind of money cards are around them too, because you want to pay for that education without having to go into debt. So that's a part of being in tune with that energy, right? So as we look at clubs in a spread, it can be very telling depending on where it is in a specific card for us to find out how we should be using it in our hand. It is going to show up in our life spread, our 7 year, and then our yearly. So looking at it and coordinate coordinating with the different times in your life. Is like you have, say you got your 52-day period with a 5 of clubs. That's going to be a lot of communication, right? But suppose you're not trying to be a communicator. Suppose you're not wanting to be out there on Front Street. Fives are ruled by Mercury, and they can be very detached, right? Emotionally detached, right? So you having that 5 of clubs, which is Venus Saturn, you find yourself in situations where you're doing more talking than normally. You got to use that detachment. You got to know that this is the time that you are learning how to communicate, right? There's gonna come a time, and this is where you follow the karma of that 5 of clubs, because there's gonna come a time where you're gonna walk into it and you're gonna feel prepared, right? Because you had that 5 of clubs for 52 days. It's preparing you for something. If you look at your 7 year spread, you should be able to find it. If you can't, then look at your planetary ruler, because it's going to tell you what those 52 days are preparing you for. It is not just your spread is set up on purpose. So that 5 of clubs is 52 days. Is telling you, yeah, you're going to have to communicate this. You're going to have to, where it's sitting at, what it's displacing, and especially the challenging karma card, right? That challenging karma card is going to tell you that, yeah, this is what you're going to come across, right? So you won't have to think that you were blindsided, right? You're not blindsided if you are prepared. So looking at where that 5 of clubs is for those 52 days, and then the challenging karma card. If it's a challenging karma card, it's a heart. Yeah, it's gonna be. This is telling you relationships, right? If it's a heart, it's telling you that something in a relationship is gonna require you to be able to communicate, right? If it's a spade, authority. Spades are authority, right? Diamonds is, yeah, you're going to be called upon to deal with some sort of issue that has to do with your resources. So you're going to have to communicate. So knowing where those clubs are sitting at is important. Clubs are everything. They are everything, right? There is no way around clubs, right? So we look at the Ace of Clubs. That is, Saturn is a 10 of clubs, pushing you to teach, to lead, right? For sure. Not pushing you. Saturn isn't pushing you. That's not what Saturn is doing. It's like Saturn is giving you that 8 energy where you're going to be able to get through the things. It's like not necessarily, Saturn isn't, that's not pushing you. It's not pushing you at all. Saturn is not your cheerleader or anything. It is the work. But if you're not going to do the work, Saturn is just going to put obstacles in your way until you do the work. So it's not going to push you. You're just going to find yourself in situations that are going to be daunting, that are going to make you have to go through the process. It's like, say you want to, you're working on something in the house, right? and you didn't get everything together. Saturn is going to let you know that it's like, oh, so you wanted to paint this room, where the brush is, right? Saturn is going to have you look at the things that you need to do and how you put them in order. That's an 8, right? It's like it's going to give you the blueprint and all of that kind of stuff, but if you're not following it along the way is when the obstacles come. It's like Saturn is like, well, we can't paint this room because we don't have brushes, right? How you painting it with your hand? We finger painting, okay, that's fine, but if you want to empathize, and I don't even know what that word was, right? I think that's it. But Saturn isn't going to push you. Saturn is going to it's like you working, you going straight ahead doing the work. If you don't have all the tools, Saturn is going to put obstacles in your way, because Saturn is a societal planet, and society has to function like society. So Saturn is going to put the obstacles in your way until you address them. People could be sitting down with Saturn for 20 years and don't even know it. Because Saturn says you gotta, this one thing you gotta fix, or it could be a myriad of things. So Saturn is not gonna push you. That's for sure. It's gonna let you sit right there until you understand what the work looks like. Because once you get to Uranus, remember Uranus is a great awakening. It's gonna spark it. It can't spark stuff that ain't nothing there to spark. Your life is so frustrated because Uranus is zapping you and you not paying attention, right? Uranus is the game changer, but it can change it. So now you are working on a project and you don't have all of the things, then you gonna feel the stresses of being all over the place, right? Because that's what happens when Uranus comes along and you haven't put in the structures and things. It's like you got a whole lot of stuff just being pop, 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 right? And you're like, why isn't it my stuff isn't tying together? That's fours, right? It's like people think fours are stable. They're not. You could have a three-legged table that could be wobbling all over the place, right? So you could have a four-legged table and one could be shorter than the other. So Uranus is going to address that one leg just shorter than the other, right? And every time you sit down, the table gonna do like this. That's Uranus, right? So we got to learn how to use those outer planets and be able to, be more succinct. Oh, I got a good word tonight. I made that one, right? Trying to say words, and you imagine you trying to say words, they falling down from your brain and they get stuck here. And you like, I knew what the word was, but it paused. So when we look at the Ace of Clubs, we know that that is about new ideas, right? So Ace represents your individuality and your uniqueness. So the Ace of Clubs is a very unique card, right? Because it's that semi-fixed card. And it symbolizes the power of a single entity to make significant impact. So that Ace of Clubs is impacting that first thought, that first desire, that thing that you want to do, right? And it's helping you to start your journey. And it's giving you focus. Aces signifies focus and a priority. It's the same as the number one. When something is given the first spot, it's about the importance of it. So the aces are starting something, but how important is it? How much are you putting into it? So the Ace of Clubs is about communication. So you are communicating to whatever you're communicating to, the importance of doing this project, right? And looking at how you're going to prioritize it, because you're an ace. It's about the priority of it, right? That power of that one, and having clear goals and identifying and prioritizing. So the Ace of Clubs, out the gate, you have to know how to communicate effectively, right? You got to know how to communicate effectively. It's about leaderships and influences, right? and then being in the forefront and setting trends, right? The Ace of Clubs will be a trendsetter in communication. If you know some Ace of Clubs, they trendsetters, but they got some mouths. But Ace of Clubs is Mars, and sometimes I can't even put it back in the box. So Ace of Clubs, right? So clubs are linked with the mind, the intellect. The Ace of Clubs is the new thought. So when it shows up in your spread, what opportunities? And then what is significant is the Ace of Clubs is a semi-fixed card that doesn't move. So that gives you power. So when that Ace of Clubs is showing up, this is telling you that this is more of a this is more influential. The situation is beginning is more influential because that Ace of Clubs is not all over the place, right? So you can feel more steadfast in your communication holding an Ace of Clubs, right? More steadfast because the Ace of Clubs only moves over to the Two of Hearts. So the Ace of Clubs is more steadfast in its communication, unlike the Ace of Hearts, Diamonds, and Spades, because they move all over the board. So the Ace of Clubs can help heighten your intellect, right? So when it shows up in your hand, you have more heightened intellectual abilities, right? In relationships, you're going to have a better mental connection with that Ace of Clubs. You're going to have a better mental connection in your relationships, right? And deepening your conversations with the Ace of Clubs. Remember, all of the attributes come into play. The Ace of Clubs does not move. So it's more, it's not all of that static, right? Then you're going to be able to share ideas. You know, aces, that's what it's about, right? You're sharing ideas. If you know, if you're an ace and you know that it's the handoff, it's about the sharing of the ideas, right? And having that a of course it's clubs, it's continuous communication. Clubs is continuous. Remember, clubs are as above as a below. It's continuous communication with that Ace of Clubs, right? So aces are looking at leadership, and then we're gonna look at the competitive landscape being the same as the number one. It is associated with that same power, you know, reliability and excellence. And then the strength of the number one is resilience. So that ace and its determination, perseverance, and the ability to overcome challenges is through the clubs. So it's in communication. So that Ace of Clubs is going to use all of the elements of air to communicate the project that is starting and is working on. And then emotional impact. Think about the ace and how it has that first thought. That first thought is like you know how we say you don't get a second thought, right? So that first thought is having the ability to communicate that, right? And as that aspiration and the accomplishment and the pride of it that the Ace of Clubs takes in things, right? Then we're going to look at, you know, some of the other attributes, which can be selfishness, right? And the Ace of Clubs can be extra selfish because, like I said, it doesn't move. It's like the Ace of Clubs has a certain something about itself, understanding that it has some sort of superiority. It's like I don't have to deal with all of that other karma. So as I approach things, I approach it from a cleaner perspective. Because say you're five of clubs and you're approaching something, you all over the place. And the Ace of Clubs has a five of clubs. So that interchange with the energy is important because the Ace of Clubs is using that five of clubs, but is using it at a different perspective, excuse me, because that one can be more focused, right? It can be more focused than that five. And because that ace of clubs is that semi-fixed card, like I said, looking at all of the attributes and seeing that that ace of clubs, yeah, I got a lot of power going on here in my ability to get this project started, right? Because all things are going to start with communication. But you have to take everything else into play, and that could be difficult for the ace of clubs because they don't have peripheral. So the ace of clubs has to have strong people around them that they trust to be able to hear them because they don't see or feel them. It's like, I don't know what the nine of diamonds is talking about. I will never sit in the nine of diamonds house and know where the nine of diamonds sit in my house. So with the ace of clubs, it's about cultivating relationships. It's about cultivating relationships with that ace of clubs because the two of hearts is a semi-fixed card, right? So it's about cultivating those relationships because the two of hearts is Venus Neptune, right? So yeah, when we look at the arrogance, that ace of clubs that could be very arrogant. I'm just saying, but not in a way where you would think of it being so offsetting, but because you don't have all of that karma and you don't have all of that drama per se. Now, when you step out in the world, it's different. But if you in your square and you vibrating high, the ace of clubs is definitely going to take on a little bit of snootiness, right? And they got a lot of, they could be impatient, right? Ace of clubs for sure could be a very impatient card because it's communication. And because the ace of clubs, like I said, doesn't come with all of that extra, you could get on their nerves because I said it's blue and now you want to talk about, yeah, but it's blue, but it has a hint of yellow in it. Ace of clubs don't have time for that. It's like I said, it's blue. Where are we going with this, right? That's that fixedness of the semi-fixed card. The ace of clubs, words are important to an ace of clubs. Is not, we don't have to use 5 words if it only calls for one. It's my Mars card. If it only calls for 1 word and you try to make me say 5, it's going to be a problem, right? Why am I wasting words? Why am I wasting my energy? Especially if I know you ain't going to get it anyway. So, yeah, the Ace of Clubs could be that kind of person that is saying that I know you. I know you just want to be talking right now, and no, we're not just going to do that. We're going to stay focused, right? We're going to stay focused. And then stubbornness. Yeah, that ace could be stubborn in and of itself, but the ace of clubs, I think that getting the point across could give an air of stubbornness, right? It's like I'm trying to get this point across, right? And then loneliness, because you think of the isolation in itself that the ace of clubs has because it doesn't move. That's a very isolated position to be a semi-fixed or a fixed card. So that isolation, and then the soulmate is a two of hearts. It's a rare time of year. So this time of year, when we go into heart season and we get closer to those two of hearts, yeah, it could be very good for that ace of clubs. But early on, no, it could be a lot of isolation for that card, especially because they don't share in our energy fields, right? So it's important for them to have good people around them to understand their different moods, right? And then we have the two. So we think about the two, and the ace is handing off to the two. That's the union, right? That is the aces are ruled by the number one, which we know is Mars, and then the twos are ruled by the moon. So that desire for that connection, for that communication with that club is important, right? It's important to be um you sensitive And this, so let me read it, right? The number 2 is considered a highly sensitive and harmonious number. It's often associated with balance, harmony, and cooperation, right? Not always with the two of clubs, because it's about communication, and sometimes the two of clubs can be a very argumentative card, right? Because of the lack of of balance. You're looking to balance it out with the moon, but we know that the moon is ebbing and flowing and it has a lot of different things going on. So thinking about it in the purest form, sure we could say that, but just as in the natural, clubs are always communicating. So sometimes it can come across as argumentative, depending on the placement it is, depending on your planetary ruler. So that two of clubs is one of those important cards that you want to pay attention to when it shows up in the deck. The challenging common card is the ace. That's about the ace of spades. So that's about maturity, right? That is the ace of spades is a spade in and of itself, and it's a one. That's maturity. So that two of clubs has got to understand when they speaking that they need to know what they're talking about. So there's no need to argue. Why am I going to argue and debate with you when I have the ace of spades challenging me? I already know. I know. So the two of clubs is definitely a card that you want to pay attention to with overstimulation, with drug and alcohol issues, with those kind of things because of the weight of what they carry. It's like I'm trying to communicate. The Ace of Spades is a difficult card to communicate from with what you know, right? That's a lot of energy, and it's challenging that Two of Clubs. So a Two of Clubs will be someone that could need to kind of do stuff to help with all of those thoughts roaming around in their head that they're trying to communicate. It's a communication card that's ruled by the moon, right? That's a lot of energy, right? Twos are in and of themselves all ruled by the moon, but that club, the energy of the club is always growing. Communication is always growing and changing. The moon is always growing and changing. So that has to be a learned person, very astute person, very agile. You can see that two of clubs being a very agile person, sensitivity and empathy, right? We're on page 15 now. Very sensitive to the different phases that of things that they're working on, right? You could be working on something and they've moved on to something else. Thus the argument, right? So the sensitivities of understanding to your emotions and the needs of others because you've moved on, but you're working together, especially in relationships. So you have to be able to pay attention to how you're feeling. It's like, I've changed, I've moved on, I'm developing, but I got to leave space for that person to do the same thing because you're the two of clubs, they're not, right? Right. So diplomacy and cooperation. So we're looking at the ability to work well with others. Two of clubs, that's card. When you think about the king of clubs, yeah, it's just no. You think about, and the king of clubs is a card of friendship, but it's Uranian, and the two is looking for balance, and Uranus hasn't. That's not. So that's a very that's a very skilled placement for a skilled mature person, but a young person, that's a lot to carry with that king of clubs. You're thinking about how things are moving along, and that two of clubs has to keep up with them. Two of clubs got to keep up. They can't be people that are lollygalling, because the things that they're communicating, the projects and stuff that they're working on are always subject to change. And people are not that way. I find with two of clubs that they can be very ambitious, but they want people to be as equally ambitious as they are, right? They want people to keep up. And that's frustrating. It's frustrating. You rule by the moon, right? So you're already in your feelings most of the time, right? But the number two can be good listeners and skilled communicators, right? They can be. They can be when they are using all of the other things that they got going on. But the two of clubs can be a very nervous energy. That can be a nervous energy, right? Balance and in harmony. Twos associated with balance and harmony. People with strong connection to this number tend to seek balance in areas of their lives and may have a natural sense of their aesthetic of harm and harmony, right? So when we think about relationships and we think about communication and we think about building with that too, we got to think about the emotional state that that person is in. If something is going on, and sometimes you don't know something is going on, especially in work relationships. In your intimate relationships you should, but in work relationships, do you know something is going on? And that's where the sensitivity of the two has to come in, and understanding that somebody could be going through with something that has nothing to do with you. How about that, right? Partnerships and relationships. The two is considered a highly relationship oriented number associated with partnerships, romance, and social connections. Yeah, but not the two is, but the elements that are added to it may not be, right? So the two of clubs in communication, thinking about how you are always communicating and not being equally yoked with your partner, that it may not be the best communicator. Yeah, that makes it interesting for that two of clubs, right? And then sometimes, they could be indecisive because we're looking at the moon. They could be oversensitive, passive aggressive, dependency, and insecurity of that too, right? Because you're looking at the other half. And what is the other half telling you? And the other half always starts with yourself. So that two it's an immature number that when it's more mature, more adept at the energies that it's feeling, is a better placement in Saturn, like your two is in Saturn, even Jupiter, but two in Mercury, Venus, and Mars, that's you. When it shows up in your spread, it's you. You have to learn how to communicate. Once it's in Jupiter, Saturn, and Uranus, and even Neptune, you've already passed through those things, and now you are supposed to know how to use that energy in the collective. And the two of clubs is one of those people that struggle with the collective. They do. Two of clubs is struggles with all of that that's going on around them in the outside world, right? Because air clubs constantly, right? And they're not into repeating themselves, right? So that two of clubs energy is really interesting, and it is staticky, and it definitely comes with anxiety. Two of clubs comes with anxiety, right? Pretty much, right? The threes. So we know the three comes out of the two. So this is where it gets interesting, because the two needs to use the creativity of his communication to be able to balance that out, right? So when we look at the three, we're looking at how you express yourself. So that two has to learn how to express themselves, definitely being inspirational. It's Jupiter and the ability to communicate effectively. You're going into a societal planet, so that could be difficult. You're coming out as a two, and you're looking at very says as your reward card. Yeah, that's something that you are going to be. You thinking you're in the energy field, and your reward is to know how to associate That's an association with people. So, communication is something that's going to be your strong suit. When you think about your reward, you had to come through your Pluto card. So if you're good at your reward, that means you've done that Pluto work. If not, Pluto is going to drag you. If you're communicating and it's off, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel the karma of it, because Pluto is going to take you down in the laboratory. And whatever that Pluto card is what you're going to have to deal with, because the Pluto card is saying, in order to unlock your reward, this is what we got to do. So learning how to communicate effectively comes from your Pluto card. Does that make sense? If you can't Pluto well, yeah, two of clubs is going to get you. It's just going to be very difficult. You're going to be a difficult person to deal with, because you're not going to take responsibility, right? Pluto wants you to take responsibility. So what is your Pluto card? You want to tie those two together. The lessons are going to come from Pluto. The reward is that you got the lesson, right? The reward is, oh, I got the lesson from Pluto. So what is attached to your reward is important. So you being able to communicate is going to come through how you Pluto, right? So when we look at the characteristics of the number 3, we look at creativity and self-expression. So you are now able to take your stuff to the next height. You want to be seen. You want to be seen by people, so you got to express it. So that 3 of clubs, oh, the king of spades. Sorry for you. That's just sorry for you. 4 diamonds. 4 diamonds. Sorry for you, right? So, yeah, that's a lot. You just put a whole big pause in the whole world with that King of Spades. You never write King of Spades in Pluto. It's in a memo. Now we all got to deal with the King of Spades in Pluto, right? So when we think about creativity and expression, and we're talking about clubs, this is being the 3 of clubs, and we know the 3 of clubs is definitely an expressive card. It is just say it. You gotta laugh when you think about the 3 of clubs. If you know a 3 of clubs, right? If you have any kind of connection to a 3 of clubs, they are expressive. But it's a very interesting, when we look at it and we tie in it together, we're looking at Mars, Saturn. So how you have developed with that ace and how you developed with that 2 is going to be very important with that 3 of clubs, right? Because the 3 of clubs is coming from a place of learning, right? Mars, you've learned from your prior situations, and then in the 3 of clubs they learn through communication that, excuse me, they may not be able to express themselves, because it's Mars, it's you. So you got to learn to be more joy and positivity. 3 of clubs got to have fun. That's one thing for sure. They got 5 of hearts that supports them. People with a strong connection to the 3 tend to have a sunny disposition and a natural ability to uplift each other people, right? But remember, this 3 is attached to Mars and Saturn, so there's no sunny disposition. 3 of clubs do not have sunny dispositions, right? Communication and social skills. They are often associated with social skills because 3 is ruled by Jupiter, which is a societal planet. So people with a strong connection to this number tend to be good at public speaking, storytelling, and formal communications, because that's what Jupiter is. Jupiter is that societal planet. It's very expressive. So that club would be someone that's very expressive and animated and stuff like that, but it's Mars, Saturn. So how far are they going to go? How far is the three of clubs going to go with their expression? The further they go, the more fun they have. It's going to be more, you know, used. It's going to be able to use that, right? Optimism and enthusiastic. So when we think about how threes recover, because when you look at those three dots, it's as above as below. So threes can recover, like they can get over stuff and not understand why you in your feelings, right? Jupiter. It's like it's a lot of responsibility to Jupiter. So threes will learn fast about responsibility. And the three of clubs is Mars Saturn. They're going to learn uber fast about communication. They're going to learn very fast about the things that they say, right? People are going to let them know. It's going to sting, right? And they tend to approach life with a sense of excitement and enthusiasm. That's the threes, but that's not the three of clubs because Saturn isn't enthusiastic. So three of clubs can be a little bit more reserved, right? Because they understand that how they communicate, is going to set the tone. That's what Saturn does. It sets the tone. So three of clubs is setting the tone with their communication. So they want to be mindful of that, especially in business pursuits, right? Especially in business pursuits. Threes are about expansion, so clubs are everywhere. So the three of clubs is not necessarily comfortable with all that outside activity because communication is changing all of the time. So having that responsibility, three of clubs has to be mindful of that. They can be very creative with their, very linguistically, the rest that goes with that, right? And being three of clubs can be sometimes it's the three is optimistic, but the three of clubs can be pessimistic because of Saturn. So it's a conflict there, right? It's a conflict there with that, right? So when we're looking at the expression of that number and the negative traits, we can think of superficiality, right? Glibness, right? And scattered energy, self-centeredness, impatience, and a lack of follow-through. And that's with your word, right? It's with your word. It's like, is your word your bond, right? Are you impatient? Three of clubs can be impatient because that's communication. It's like the communication is coming out faster than people are absorbing it, right? Because Jupiter expands upon your words. So where you could say it with 5 words, the three of clubs might want to say it with 10 words because it sounds better. Right? Three of clubs is like 10 words sound much better than 5, right? Your transformation to the three of clubs. Oh, we know who you are. So yeah, so three of clubs that gives a lot of oomph, when we think about how the transformation and the other cards show up. That is definitely important. But the three of clubs can be a very animated card, right? Your cosmic lesson to the three of clubs. That's your soulmate. That's your husband or wife, the three of clubs then. So think about that, right? That's gonna show up as a part of your relationship. Three of clubs is an extremely powerful part of your relationship as a cosmic lesson. So you have to be someone that is very astute, right? Your Jupiter, that three of clubs being Jupiter means that when you're out and about and you're communicating, somebody's watching you. It's your cosmic lesson. Somebody is watching you. So whether or not you're in a relationship or not, you got to be aware of that. That's your cosmic lesson. That is a big part of your relationships that you have. That's your guru, right? That's how life comes to you. through that three of clubs, right? The lessons and the things that you got to learn on that spiritual tip and more Saturnian are coming through your cosmic lessons. So as a three of clubs, being very creative, and you can be very influential. As a three of clubs, you can be very influential in swaying stuff, right? Because it's Jupiter. Jupiter wants to bless, it wants to give you everything. So the three of clubs has a great ability to sway stuff their way, right? Jupiter is giving you the gifts and the talents. Now you got to learn how to use them. So for you to find your ideal mate as a three of clubs, with the three of clubs as your cosmic lesson, you got to use your juju. I'm just saying. Jupiter is like, I need to bless you. Ooh, you got a serious life path, right? When you got three of clubs as your cosmic lesson. It's my hidden energy. Ooh, I'm just saying. It's my hidden energy. And I'm pretty good with it now, but early on, no. Three of clubs is a very volatile card. It's a card of war. All you got to do is tweak it a little bit, and the three of clubs will set it off. And I mean, set it off. So as they mature, they learn that the backfire of that setting it off is. But when I was young, oh yeah, my mouth was a problem. It was. And it was my hidden energy. I didn't know that. I just know that when I had to express myself, yeah, boy, I tell you, thank God for wisdom. So we're gonna do one more because we approaching that 9 o'clock hour. We're gonna do the four clubs. And that's a very potent. Out of the three comes a four. So out of that creative, now you're looking at how to apply it, right? The application of it all. You know, people are looking at fours as the stability, the grounded, and all of that practicality of it all. And that's the desire, but four clubs desire, but because fours are moved by Uranus and clubs are air, that's not going to happen. It's just not. If you think about it, if you know, just in the pure sense of it, it can make sense. But when we break down the elements, it's not going to happen. Fours want to communicate, right? Four clubs wants to communicate, right? And Uranus wants the communication to be more palatable because this is a societal planet, it's a generational planet. So the four clubs has a lot of responsibility attached to it, right? A lot of responsibility with their word, right? And looking at that part of the legs, you know, having a four-legged table, and you know, you ever been in a restaurant, that four-legged table and one leg is shorter than the other, that drives you crazy? That's Uranus. Saying, yeah, this one leg is off. So it's jugging at Saturn. It's like, this is Saturn built the table, right? Got the four legs. And Uranus comes along and says, hey, Saturn, this one doesn't work. That's Saturn and Uranus. They are the worst when they're like that, right? But when Saturn made all of the legs stable, Uranus comes along and the table becomes a heirloom or something. But when it's unstable, this is Uranus. So you're sitting at the table in a restaurant every time you eat. It's annoying. That's Uranus. That's the four of clubs. Looking for that opening. They are looking for that opening, right? Yeah. So the stability and the structure, no, it's not going to be. It's going to be better, right? Uranus is looking at making it better. So how can we improve upon a table that has one leg that is destabilized, right? That's Uranus. It comes along and it's going to make you pay attention. You're going to pay attention to that. You're going to forget all of those three legs and you're just going to pay attention to that one wobbly leg. That's Uranus, right? You're thinking about hard work and perseverance. Not necessarily hard work, right? The structures of the thing just need to be sound. So, is it hard work when you have used your creative expression of the three? The three is a creative expression, so it shouldn't be hard. The three of clubs was how you expressed how you wanted to do the thing. So, the four of clubs should not have that much of a problem with it because out of the three comes a four. So it's a strong connection to that, tend to be diligent and committed to achieving their goals, right? No, that's not true. Because you think about Uranus. Uranus is the great awakening. Uranus is always working in the background. The fours know that. Four of clubs knows, especially when it comes to communication, that they're going to be held responsible for it. So Uranus is going to hold you responsible. So saying that they are doing hard work, yeah, no, that's not necessarily a good thing, right? You want to work smart because Uranus is going to hold you accountable to it. So when you find with that four that you are convicted and stuck on something, yeah, that's where the four comes in, as debaters and arguers, because they're convicted, but they got a one wobbly leg, right? Because if you're arguing, you got a wobbly leg. You don't have to argue with people, but if you're not structurally sound, yeah. Practicality and reliability. The number four is often associated with practicality and reliability. People with a strong connection to this number tend to be down to earth and dependable, right? And that's based on how they use their creative expression from that three, right? Your creative expression, how you express yourself. Because if you're not able to express yourself, how dependable are you? And clubs are air. Communication is always changing, and Uranus is always changing things, right? And then you have loyalty and trustworthiness. The number four is considered a highly loyal and trustworthy number. People with a strong connection to this number tend to value honesty, integrity in themselves and others. That depends on where that four is sitting at, right? That's a key thing, is what it's sitting at and what its challenges are, how dependable and how much integrity and all of that stuff. That whole enchilada. So that four coming out of the three is creative expression. So if you're not using that, your creative expression as a four, yeah, that's going to be a problem, right? Then you could be superficial, scattered energy, self centeredness, impatient, or lack follow through, right? So each one is building on the other. So clubs is about communication, and threes are about expansion, growth, and creativity and expression. So when we put them together, we get a chance to see how that comes out, right? Because you're bringing that forward. But when we look at the four, if it's not using that creative expression, it's rigid, right? Over relying on rules, resistant to change, workaholism, and pepto bismol, right? Pessimism. So if the four is using that expression, that creative expression for that three, they won't be rigid, right? They'll be more in aligned with the societal goals that is going to enhance them with Uranus, right? Because Uranus is the great awakening. It can't wake you up if you're rigid and inflexible and you're going to get something out of it in society. It's not, right? And if you don't have good organizational skills, right? That's all coming out of creative expression. So that three of clubs and that four of clubs, all coming from the ace of clubs, how we use these is how good they are going to be able to get us where we got to get to. So we're gonna stop there with the fours and the clubs. And that was good. Ooh wee, my brain got fried on the Queen of Hearts day. Do y'all know the Queen of Hearts? Queen of Hearts are not workers. And I love Tuesday because it's my King of Spades, right? And my King of Spades and the Queen of Hearts today have been arguing all day, all day. The King of Spades, I mean. King of Spades is like, and the King of Spades is the Mars card to the Queen of Hearts. So I've had a very, oh my God, this day has taught me so much about those two cards. Those two cards together, the Queen of Hearts and the King of Spades. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. That's a combination. So thank you guys for tuning in. Oh, I'm happy that was good info. We will pick up next week on the clubs and get deeper into looking at how the connections are. You know, I wrote the book so we could use them as tools, right? Not so we can just say, oh, it's a four clubs. No, but we need to know the meat of it, the rooter and the tutor of it, because we want to know the connections. If it shows up in our spread, how good are we at using it is knowing all of the attributes, right? And in numerology, thank y'all are welcome. And numerology, the numbers are they are intersecting with each other. And if we're good at understanding the intersection, then we can unlock the hidden um talents that we have. Each one of these cards have hidden energies, hidden talents, and hidden things that we have to unlock, right? And the things that we read, yeah, they're ancient and they were in some very times that we don't want to go back to. Now we're creating a new language and we want to use it, right? And we're in times right now where things are heating up. They're getting harder and harder for people to let go. It's like this is let go time. Neptune 7.5 year was about allowing. It was about knowing that we can't fight that big body of water. It's not possible. When we look at Neptune, we want to look at the reflection that we see, not the illusion of what's not there. So we're coming out of this Neptune, all of this Neptune water energy, and we're going into Saturn, and that's a leap, right? But the Saturn and Neptune, because those are karma cards, they have close relationships with each other. So we got to learn how to blend them together. We got to learn how to use these attributes to communicate them in the totality. It's like, yeah, today's a Queen of Hearts, but what does that mean? We need to know how to break it down, and that's why I wrote the book. Because the book gives you can break it down, you can do a reading, you can have all of those things, the fundamentals. Not we can't go so deep. We're taking baby steps, right? If we go off the deep end with cardiology, it's not going to work for you. So many people go in hard and then they fizzle out because you're going too hard. Let's take baby steps and make it make sense and use the tools. Use them to say, oh, okay, now that makes sense. It makes sense that the Ace of Clubs is going to have a lot of tenacity, right? They're an ace, they're a one, and they're clubs, and they're semi-fixed card. Voila. So that's what we're going to be doing, the rooter and the tutor. And this is recorded, so you can go back and listen to it, right? And if you don't have your book, just get the book at Levin University or Amazon, whichever one is easier for you. I mailed all of the books. Hopefully they will be there this week, but it is holiday time. And Amazon is really needing to hire some people, right? For sure. I think they're, doing the best they can with what they got. Amazon is not an easy job. I'm just saying it's not. We get to see it online with dogs chasing them and all of the stuff, the ice on the steps. It's not an easy job, right? So I guess we got to hold grace for them getting us our packages, right? But thank you for those who have purchased the book. And like I said, it's always on sale for you to get it. And all of my other books is up there that you so desire. But that is the end of this show, fam. And I will see y'all next week. Same bad time, same bad station. And my it's not a class, but I have a subscription. It's a 30 days. It's $99, and this is a personal. This is very personal to me because this is what my desire was on Clubhouse. But Clubhouse is too big and it's not intimate. So I have 10 people. We're almost full, right? And we're going to be doing intimate one-on-one coaching, and then every month we're going to come together, the 10 of us, and what I have put together from all 10 people is what our master class is going to be on. I can't This is going to be so much fun. I'm going to be able to get into the things that I want to get into on an intimate level. This is a powerful year for us, and because we're going into the last of the United States Pluto return, right? On the other side, we don't know. We just want to be prepared. So we're going to be doing this intimate, and I can only do 10 people because I want it to be intimate, where we are doing that intimate one-on-one building. You're going to have homework. Yeah, I'm going back to being a social worker. I am so freaking excited, right? I love homework. So we are going to be doing that, and we're going to come together once a month for the master class. Isn't that going to be so delicious? A master class once a month. I can't wait. Oh, I can't wait. So I only have a few stop. Hey, Mo. I only have a few slots left because we taking over the world 10 people at a time. This is important. It's very important that we are able to use these tools in our family, go back out into the community, into our jobs. If you know these tools, you are going to be a manager. You cannot not be a manager if you know these tools. You're going to be a manager. You're going to reach the highest of your career because of these tools. I promise you, I guarantee you that, because you're going to be so intuitive. You're going to be so connected to the people that you work with. You're not going to hate your job. You're going to embrace everything, because everything is going to be a new learning experience, right? Going to be a new learning experience. So yeah, we're going to use these tools that our ancestors hid inside of a deck of cards. They so dope, right? Our ancestors are the Shiziznik. I'm just telling y'all that. They hid it in a deck of cards, and other people have documented it so well for us. Isn't that so cool that they stole it and documented it, and now we got it back? Like 360, right? You stole it and we got it back. I love it. So y'all enjoy the rest of your evening, and I will see y'all out here on these streets. I'm gonna do a TikTok. I did TikTok poll yesterday. It was so much fun. But we're gonna do a TikTok, and we getting into Cardi B, Offset, and the other young man and the person that he's accusing. We're gonna break this one down on TikTok. I can't wait, right? Peace, fam.